What's up guys, Xbox Mod 360 here, and in today's video we have another amazing laser pointer review for you guys. A couple viewers had been commenting saying they wanted me to review the Thor laser pointer. It's one of the higher powered 1-watt blue laser pointers, and it's often sold on eBay, so that's the one I ordered. I'm going to be unboxing it for you guys, showing it off, and also doing a burn test. So the Thor laser I bought is the Thor M2. I got it for $75 on eBay, and I usually just go through eBay because they have good buyer protection, so if you get a dud you can always return it, and I'll provide you with some links down below on where you can get it from US and Chinese sellers. But the bundle I bought comes with the laser itself, a couple of different star caps, the charger, and the battery. Now, one thing I do have to note is that the bundle that I got, the one that I'm going to provide you the link for, it doesn't come with safety glasses, so make sure you go out and buy yourself a pair of laser safety glasses if you don't already have them. These laser pointers can be very bright, and one thing that this laser has is an adjustable focus, meaning you can make the dot very, very small, which is good for burning. But in order to do that, you really have to stare at the dot, and that can really hurt your eyes if you do that for an extended period of time. I don't want any of you to get any eye damage or anything like that, so just go out and get a pair of safety glasses. So I've pretty much got this box open, and we're now going to take a look at all the stuff that is included with this laser. The first thing I want to take a look at is the charger, which surprisingly comes with a box. You don't usually see this stuff come with a box, it usually just comes loose. This one actually has a box to it. And it's also a double charger, meaning it can charge two batteries at once, and I'm going to show you guys the batteries in just a second. But the batteries for this one aren't the usual 18650s that we usually use in these laser pointers. They're the smaller 16340s, so you're going to use both of them at once inside the laser. And I'm just going to take this charger out of the packaging so we can get a better look at it. It looks like it has an indicator light on it, just your standard charger. I probably have one of these sitting around already. Has a little indicator light. The part that actually goes into the wall is on the back and it folds down. And the little red thing I showed you right there, those are the two tiny little 16340 batteries, and I'm going to blow up a close-up picture to show you guys what those really look like. The batteries are 3.7 volt 600 milliamp, and if you plan on using your laser a lot, I would suggest going on eBay and buying some backup batteries, that way you always have a charged pair. So that's pretty much all you need to know about the charger and the batteries. Moving on, you also get this little baggie of 5 separate little star caps, and these kind of look like the same exact star caps you get with a lot of other laser pointers, and I'm going to take a closer look at them, but they probably are the same exact ones that I've gotten with other lasers. And I actually really like these star caps a lot, and I say that in all my videos where I get these because these are a solid metal construction. They're not cheesy or plastic or anything like that, and the effects that you're able to produce with these are actually pretty cool and pretty stunning, so I do like the star caps a lot. They're metal, they have nice grip on them, and they're pretty good quality. Now what I'm showing you guys right here is a little instruction paper that they include with this, and it's basically a step-by-step guide on how to burn stuff with this laser pointer. It doesn't really explain how to use the laser, it's more of how to burn things with the laser, so they're kind of assuming that you already know how to use the laser itself. But what it basically tells you is that you should focus that laser dot until it's the smallest it can possibly be, and that's when you're going to get the best burning results. It also tells you not to leave the laser on for over 2 minutes, and if it starts to get warm, to let it cool down so it doesn't overheat. And they even give you a black strip on the bottom of the piece of paper to practice burning with because lasers burn black objects better. But I suggest that you don't practice on this piece of paper because it could light on fire, and this piece of paper has your instructions and an email address that you can email if you need any help. So I wouldn't suggest practicing on this piece of paper. But if you guys do light this piece of paper on fire or just lose it, you can always come back to my video and check out the picture I have right here of the instructions. So now that we've covered everything that this laser comes with, we're going to move on to the actual Thor laser itself. It's the Thor M2, and it's in this long white box right here. So I'm just going to go ahead and open this up for you guys, and my first impression the moment I see it is that it looks exactly like Wicked Laser's Spider series lasers, the Spider 3 series. It looks just like them, but it's like a smaller scale of it, and I'm sure that's the look they were going for too. I know it's not accidental. And I'll put up a quick picture to show you guys what I'm talking about, but I actually kind of like the size of this one a bit better. It's like a smaller scale, and I've always found the Spider 3 series Wicked lasers to be kind of bulky, so this is almost kind of an improvement, even though I know it's kind of like a knockoff because they're kind of stealing the design. Now, I really should have mentioned some of the specifications at the beginning of the video, but it kind of just slipped my mind. This is a blue laser pointer. They advertise that it's between 1.2 and 1.3 watts. They'll tell you that it's below 5 watts, but if you look at the picture, they show it hitting their LPM, which is a meter, and it says 1.2 to 1.3 watts. If any of you have your own LPM to test that out, comment below what you got for results. It's a 445 to 450 nanometer laser, which is the color blue in the color spectrum. It's made of metal material and the construction feels very good, and so does that grip. And the part that I'm turning right here, it's just above the grip, and that's actually the focus. I'll show you a demonstration of how that really works, but I'm just turning this middle part right here. It's kind of like halfway down on the laser. So turning that part of the laser will basically make that little dot smaller or larger, and a smaller dot will be much better for burning. So that's pretty much how the focus works, and I'll give you a bit more of an example when I start actually turning on the laser and using it. But on the very bottom here, there's this one rubber button. That's your button to turn the laser on and off. And the whole bottom part right here unscrews like most laser pointers, and this is where you actually put the batteries in. So those two little batteries both go inside the laser, positive side up, and once you have them in there, you just screw that bottom piece back on all the way, and then you just press down the rubber button and the laser should turn on. So this laser is very, very bright. Like I said, these blue ones tend to be very bright. You're going to want to use safety glasses when using the laser at all times. Now there is one other thing that I wanted to show you guys before I moved on to actually testing out this laser more. On the very top of the laser, just like on the Wicked lasers, there's this little piece that unscrews right here, and it kind of lets you get better access to the inner lens of the laser. However, I kind of figured that this piece that unscrews would have like a little protective lens in it, and it doesn't. There's just the one lens on this, so you got to be careful not to scratch it or anything like that. And that piece that I just unscrewed on the very top also has a little tread inside of it, and that little tread is where you screw in the star cap attachments on the very top. So I'll show you guys an example of that right now, and I'll kind of speed it up because it did take me a little while to screw it in. But once you get the star cap attachment screwed on there, you just turn on the laser, and you get some really, really cool effects like this one. So moving on, I'm just going to show you guys how that focusing feature works. Once you have the laser turned on and you're pointing it somewhere, and make sure you're pointing it somewhere safe too. Whenever you're going to burn stuff, make sure where the laser is pointing to is something metal or something made of rock, something that's not going to burn. You just turn that part halfway down the laser and you're able to focus in and out. And I wouldn't suggest really having it on that wide focus like that because it can be dangerous, especially if it hits a person's eyes. And if you look closely at the area I'm pointing it to right now, I end up burning a little stick or something like that that's sitting on the rocks because I focused it into a perfect dot, and I immediately started seeing a little smoke come up, so there must have been a particle of dust that ignited or something like that. That just goes to show how powerful this laser can be when it's fully focused. And what I'm showing you guys right here is how powerful and visible this laser is in a normal indoor setting, and I don't have it fully focused. I made the dot kind of bigger than it's supposed to be, that way it won't burn anything in the room. Moving on, I'm going to show you guys how visible this laser is in an outdoor sunny setting, and the beam isn't really visible in a sunny setting, but the dot is very visible even from hundreds of feet away. And here's a little safety disclaimer: obviously don't point it at any planes, people, anything living in neighbors' yards, or anything that will get you in trouble. But also, if you live in a very dry area like California, try to avoid aiming it at anything outside really, because you could run the risk of starting a wildfire. If you're going to use your laser outside, try to point it maybe in the night sky where there's no planes or anything like that, because if this laser gets perfectly focused on a leaf, it could ignite a fire if you live in a dry area. And I'm now going to move on to one of the best settings, which is a complete nighttime setting, and that's when this thing is insane. It turns into like a lightsaber. The beam is completely solid, completely visible from miles away, and this is where you can really get in some trouble if you don't use it safely and smartly. I wouldn't really go crazy with it either, even if you're aiming it into the open night sky and not pointing it at planes. I would only do it for maybe a short period of time. I wouldn't do it all night because people really do see this from other yards. This thing is crazy visible and it can be seen from everywhere. And it's really cool, but at the same time it freaks other people out and they might call the cops just because they're scared. So, use it smartly, use it safely, and try to use it in a way that's not going to get you in trouble. So I'm now going to show you guys what those 5 star caps look like, and I really like these a lot. One little safety disclaimer for this is that it kind of makes the spread of your laser a lot wider, and you could end up pointing it at something you weren't intending to point it at. So when you use the star caps, just be careful where you're pointing the laser. But yeah, the star caps are definitely really cool. You can kind of make it look like a giant galaxy, or you can do a circle effect like this, and with some of them you can even kind of see the beam split up in mid-air into like hundreds of separate beams, so that's kind of cool as well. So I'm now going to move on to that burn test that many of you have probably been waiting for. I'm using a stone in the back where the laser is pointing so it doesn't burn a hole in my wall. I have the laser perfectly focused in, and I have a sink full of water for any burning objects. So I'm going to start off by trying to cut some electric tape, and remember that lasers do burn black objects much better than lighter colored objects, and I'm able to get through that electric tape in very, very good time. So I'm now going to try to pop a yellow balloon, and we're able to pop it instantly. And I did color a little part of it black in case I wasn't able to pop the yellow part, but it did just pop it on the yellow part instantly, and that's something I don't really see with all of my lasers. So next up is a dry piece of wood, and right away you can see a lot of smoke is coming off it. It's making some deep black burn marks on the wood, and if I aimed it at the wood long enough, it might be able to start a fire, but I don't want to overheat the laser, so I'm not going to try that. Next up is a normal red top match, and I'm probably going to do a couple of them here, but this laser is able to light that match pretty much immediately, so I did kind of expect that. And don't do what I did right here in this next clip. I held the matches upside down, so the second I lit the first one, it kind of burned my finger and I had to drop them before I could light the second one. When you're lighting the matches, you're probably going to want to hold them right side up. But what I'm going to do next is I'm going to burn the wooden part of the match, and I probably will speed this part up because this usually does take a while, and it doesn't always light. Sometimes it'll just kind of burn all the way through until you practically burn it in half. So a lot of smoke came off that matchstick, and although it didn't light on fire, as you can see from the black spots, it did burn almost all the way through. So next up is going to be a small piece of paper, and I did use a little piece of paper that's black because I did want to show you guys the best result possible. So putting it under the laser, there is immediately smoke and it's burning, it's a little bit red embering, and it does end up actually lighting on fire, and I do have to drop it into the sink immediately. You may need to rewatch that clip. It did light on fire and I immediately dropped it into the water so it wouldn't burn my hand. But I'm actually pretty happy with that result. I usually don't get a fire going that quickly with a burn test with my other laser pointers, so that was pretty nice. I'm going to now move on to a black CD case made of plastic. And usually these burn right through within a couple of seconds and you can kind of see the beam on the other side, but I'm not really holding this too still. It's burning all over, but it's not really burning a perfect hole because I keep kind of moving it. And I'm trying to hold it still, but I'll show you guys a close-up picture of what I'm talking about. Because I kept kind of moving it around a little bit, it burned a bigger hole than I kind of thought it would, and I'm actually pretty happy with the burning results of this laser. It kind of melted the plastic here, which I don't see with a lot of my laser pointers, and overall, the burning capabilities of this laser were pretty impressive. It was able to start that fire pretty quickly. It performed greater than a lot of the 1-watt blue lasers I currently have. And now that I've shown you guys everything, I'm going to kind of use this moment to transition over to the reviewing aspect of this laser, and starting off with the burning capabilities, I was very happy with its ability to burn. And I do want you guys to be very careful and not start any wildfires or burn anything outside that could be potentially hazardous or anything like that, but I was very happy with the burning power. And probably the best feature of this laser is that adjustable focus where you turn it about halfway down. I just find it to be a very high quality focus. It just seems like I'm able to make the tiniest dot possible, smaller than my other lasers even, and I think that's the reason why this laser burns so good, is because it has such a good focusing feature on it. And I'm not fully focused in on these leaves right here because I don't want to burn them and start any fires, although I live in a pretty wet area, so I don't think that really would be possible, but I don't want to risk it. I really like the construction of this laser a lot. It's a good solid metal construction with a nice rubber button on the bottom that you only have to push once to turn on and once to turn off. I like that a lot better than the lasers that have a button you have to hold down. As far as the beam goes, I find it to be very stable and very steady, and as you guys can see in a nighttime or a foggy setting, it's extremely visible. It's like a lightsaber. It's incredible. And for the price of this laser, the price is about $75. I think that's okay. I mean, it is a bit on the higher end. It's a bit more than just your standard laser 303, which will run you about $10. But I really think this laser competes with the higher end stuff like a Wicked Laser's Arctic laser, because from what I've seen, and I own both of the lasers, the Thor laser and the Arctic laser, this is pretty much the same thing. Same quality, same burning ability, same everything. It's just that Wicked Laser's lasers are a bit more rare. They're harder to get into the US, so that's why some people might pay more for them, but this is pretty much a good alternative, a cheaper alternative for $75. You're pretty much getting the same quality product. And I know there are some additional features with the Arctic laser, like a smart switch in different modes and stuff like that, but I'm not really sure if that's worth the extra $300 you're going to have to pay. For me personally, I would just settle with this $75 alternative that can do 99% of the things the Arctic laser can do. But that's how I feel about that. I do like this as an alternative to some of the higher end Wicked Lasers products and other laser products that are a bit more costly and are blue 1-watt and 2-watt lasers. This is a nice laser. I do truly believe that it's over 1 watt, and I wish I had an LPM to actually test it for you guys. Now, the only critique I have of this laser really is that I wish it had a protective lens over the inner lens. I don't like when laser pointers just have the one lens where if it gets scratched, you're pretty much screwed and you're going to have a crappy beam or a crappy dot forever. I do wish this had some sort of protection in the form of maybe a little lens in that piece I unscrewed on the very top. So maybe they'll make a Thor 3 model of this laser and they'll include a protective lens, who knows. But I really did also like that little instruction paper they include on how to burn, and I liked how it had an email address that you can email any questions. Whether or not they respond is a different question. I haven't exactly tried that, but I did like how they did include that. I thought it was a nice touch. So that's pretty much all I have to say about the Thor M2 laser. It's a good product, it's a good price, it's high quality in my opinion, the burning capability was very good, and I would go out and grab one before 1-watt lasers get completely banned in the US, because I definitely do think that's on the way. They're pretty much banned from shipping, but with this, you will see it on eBay, and I will include some listings down below. They write on the listing that it's less than 5 milliwatts. It's really not. But by saying that the lasers are 5 milliwatts or less in the eBay listings, they're able to keep the ads up and eBay won't take them down. I usually just go through eBay because they have a great return policy for buyers, and if you get a dud, you can always get your money back. So I'll put the links down below on where you guys can buy this laser, and if you found this video helpful in any way at all, hit that like button down below, and if you're new to my channel, hit that subscribe button for more amazing laser videos just like this one. And as always guys, thank you for watching from Xbox Mod 360.